What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Patrick. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at one of the also first mini PC streaming sticks that I picked up when I started to get into that fad. It is the Equiso, Equiso. It's a streaming stick. It actually started on Kickstarter. I didn't fund it on Kickstarter. I was kind of skeptical. I waited until it got funded, and eventually I purchased it. These shipped everywhere. I mean, you could buy these at Walmart, most places online. I think it was available in Targets and everything. But ultimately, it didn't do too well in the markets. We're going to do a quick unboxing this real quick. Shows the little Equiso stick down there and a whole bunch of apps that it comes with. Tells you here on the side how easy it is to use. Kind of hard to see on that white box. All you have to do is plug it into your TV through your HDMI input, set up your Google account, and enjoy, stream, play, and browse. Does run Android. Let's see on the back here, a couple pictures, a couple things to read here. You can do high definition, 5.1 surround sound, such apps like Netflix, Vudu, HBO Go, Crackle, Google Play, the full store, that's Google Play, not any limited knockoff versions, full web experience with Google Chrome as their default browser. Does full 1080p, built-in Wi-Fi, 8 gigs of onboard storage, but with the operating system it only has like a little over 6 gigs usable. It's dual core. Doesn't talk about RAM, but on their Kickstarter page it says 1 gigahertz dual core. It's ARM-based Cortex A5 processor, 512 megabyte of DDR3 RAM, Mali 400 GPU, which is extremely popular, wireless N, which is fine, HDMI 1.4, supports 3D video, this, that, and the other thing. So let's unbox this real quick, and we'll take a look at it. And then on the side, it just mentions what's in the box and what you need. So we open this up. Got some foam padding on top. First thing, least impressive, I actually never wound up using this. It's just an HDMI extender. Not a cable, it's just an extender. The streaming stick's a little bit big, so you can kind of have it away from your TV and not take up one or maybe two USB ports with its little bulky size. So this is a cable to prevent that. You've got a quick start guide. You've got a little nano receiver, which I will explain in a second. You've got the Equiso itself, pretty small, built-in HDMI, a little bit of heat, cooling on the vent. You can kind of see into the PC on a stick there, and then we have our remote. We'll start with the remote. Pretty good remote, actually. I was fairly impressed with the remote. It's kind of like an AirPlay sort of Nintendo Wii-ish remote. So you've got a power button. This is a brings up menu. I mean, not menu, but your all apps. You've got your up, down, left, right, and select button. Then you have your typical Android buttons, back, home. That'll pull up the actual menu, and then volume, plus and minus. On the side here, we have our little charging port. It is rechargeable. And then on the back, we have a nice full keyboard, some up and down arrows, and kind of an OK buttons. Even got some pretty nice buttons like emojis, a .com button, which I always like. This is IR, but you do need the nano receiver to use it. So the nano receiver, I'll get into that in a second. So really nice remote. You can kind of use it as a Wiimote. So you, rather than having to scroll like most remotes, it comes up with a little cursor on your screen. You kind of move your mouse remote around and then click where you want to go. If you're in a browser or Netflix or something, rather than scrolling around or even using the Air Motion remote, you've got the full keyboard on the back that you can just flip over, and it works pretty well. I haven't had too many issues with it. Sometimes when you're pointing the remote at the device, it'll like point in the corner or something, so you kind of have to like align it and play with it. So it's definitely not perfect. Just like really basic like generic 2.4 gigahertz. So it does require one of these. You plug it into the Equiso. It actually comes plugged in into the Equiso when you already have it. So that gets plugged in. Looks like that. You just have one USB port there on the back. On the bottom here, you have micro USB, just like we saw on the remote. This does have HDMI 1.4, so if you have an MHL port on your TV. Now, MHL is not its own port. It's actually HDMI, but there's different types of HDMI ports, MHL being one of them. And you can power this without having to use the micro USB port. The other thing down there is a reset pin. Also, it's like a microphone in there. If you use like Skype or something with this. And then on the other side, you have a spot for a micro SD card to expand storage. So even though you only have 8-ish gigs when the operating system is loaded, you can still expand storage, I think, up to 32 gigs because it's limited to FAT format. So it wasn't too bad. I kind of enjoyed this. I actually used this for a pretty long time, but the specs were never mind-blowing. It never really did everything I wanted to. It did stutter. It doesn't have good reviews online. It was pulled from the shelves. There are articles out there if you Google Equiso. It'll tell you kind of how it flopped in the market. I didn't have too many bad experiences with it. Loved the remote. And the great thing is, if you don't want to use the Equiso stick, just unplug the little 2.4 gigahertz nano receiver, plug it into any other computer, and then you can use this halfway. I think the remote's almost better than the actual stick itself. You can use this remote on other computers or devices or laptops or Rokus, for example, or other streaming players. So that was kind of a plus. I actually used the remote a lot more, especially once I rotated the Equiso off of my TV. So it runs Android. It's fine. It has a full Play Store. You can download plenty of apps. Obviously, apps don't take up too much space. Not really intended for gaming. It does mention, it has all these different apps that it supports, and it can do 3D things, but it really doesn't have the graphics horsepower nor the CPU and RAM horsepower to run games. It'll do Angry Birds. It'll do some of that stuff just fine. You might notice some lag even with something like Angry Birds. But streaming was okay. As long as you have a pretty strong internet connection, it works out pretty well. So if you have a strong internet connection, it works out fine. It is inexpensive. It's only $50. So $50, something like that, pretty cheap. And a full Android market, so you can do quite a bit with it. It's not the biggest dongle either. I mean, you plug that into the side of your TV, and I think you'll be just fine. Expandable storage is great. The media player on there is fine. So if you have you want to binge watch some episodes or a season or something like that on Netflix. And the portability is fantastic. You're going on vacation or something like that, and it's rainy or something like that, and you're not on the beach or whatever. Plug this in, you're fine, into your crappy hotel TV or whatever, and you can binge watch Netflix or whatever you're interested in. So it has its applications, especially for the price point. It does have kind of a bad rap online if you do a little bit of research, but it's kind of like, what do you expect for $50? Yeah, it was funded on Kickstarter. Yeah, it was kind of like right in the middle there when all these little smart sticks were starting to boom. But I never really had any problems with it. It served its purpose for $50. Online, it doesn't have the best reviews either. But I guess I'd give it probably like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Form factor's fine. Portability's great. You can take, everything with you. It's not like I have to bring all these ridiculous, but it all works out. So, like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Let me know what you think. If you have an Equiso, mention it. I want to know how many other people have one of these. I know it was sold in many different places. When I would go to try to buy one in the retail environment, it wasn't always easy to find one. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there have them. Just if you have one, like the video or something like that, or let me know that you have one. So this is a quick review of the Equiso Smart Stick. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. And we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks.